back to some of your autobiography. Later in your life, when you were married, you had a 20-year marriage to Anne.
Over 20.
Over 20. Mm-hmm. And you characterize this in your book, Hannah's Child, as an experience of grief and suffering. I wonder if you would describe, looking back now, what has that taught you?
Well, first of all, we were young, and so as in a young marriage, you don't notice much. It was only, I guess we'd been married over 10 years when she first started manifesting bipolar symptoms. And to learn to live with someone that's seriously mentally ill turns you into an existentialist, because you never know what the next 5 minutes is going to bring. And we had a son, and it was very, very hard for him. I mean, how do you, a 6-year-old has to tell his mother, no, you're not the Holy Spirit, and I'm not the Son of God, even though you may have heard that message on the radio. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a very hard negotiation for a young person to have to deal with a seriously ill parent, because mental illness is a black hole. You have no idea what's going on. So what that time, I think, for me, indicated and gave me was a sense of how important it was that I be Adam's parent, mother and father. And it created a deep bond between myself and my son, which I'm always deeply grateful for. What you have to remember when someone is mentally ill is they're in pain. And they're perpetrating such pain on you, you have trouble remembering they're in pain. But I tried to do that, and to be as helpful as you can be. But the more you try to make things better, things only get worse. At least that was true for me. And it was, every person that's mentally ill is different, but her anger was volcanic, and that's what finally killed me. I mean, just absorbing the anger.
Yeah. You describe it as a black hole, like a darkness. To extend the metaphor, I mean, what understanding can there be for people who are faced with the suffering of disability and mental illness? What understanding can be had?
Well, your temptation is to say, just get a hold. Just will your way out of this. They can't will their way out. They can't get a hold. They're possessed. And so the best you can do is try to be present. But I mean, I don't want to go into the details, but since she was constantly in love with other people, she finally just left. And I was exhausted, and I just let her go. I just couldn't sustain it anymore. I had to let her go because I realized as long as she blamed me for her condition, there was no way she was going to get better. I mean, she had to discover that she had to take responsibility for taking her meds, for example. But, you know, I mean, the lithium will do something for a while, but they miss their highs and then they're off it. And it's just a terror. And it's a terror for them, not just for those around them.
Of course, yeah. were there words? There's this Thomas Merton reference in a letter to someone where he just points out sometimes there just are no words for suffering or grief. But then, if that's the case, what is lament? What is it to lament, and how did you deal with that?
Well, I wrote a book some years ago called Naming the Silences. And Erdmans thought that the title after its first publication was too obscure, so they renamed it God, Medicine, the Problem of Suffering. But it's naming the silences. Silences drip off the edges of words. And I think that oftentimes we're too noisy around people who are suffering by trying to make things okay. That what they absolutely need is presence. They need us to be there. Job's friends have such a bad rap generally.
They get a pretty bad rap.
But originally, they saw Job from afar, and they went and sat silently with him for days. I think that is a sign of goodness.
It's when they started talking that they
It's when they start talking when things go bad. So there is a sense that to be with the suffering is first and foremost to be with them, just to be present. Because there's, I mean, you think about how oftentimes we mislead people when, for example, when you've gone into a home where a young person has died and you try to provide comfort and you come up with locutions like, I guess they've gone to a better place. That's just terrible. First of all, heaven is not a place. I mean, God is not a place. But it's to try to say something when what you ought to say is, you and the person you loved will be in my prayers. I mean, you don't need to say more than that.
Yeah. Have you been comforted by particular words? That is to say, is there wisdom for the sufferer? Can the sufferer follow a path or a way that can offer them hope, clarity, a way forward?
I'm sure there is, but it's not just the words, it's who says them. And it's very important that that the designated person of a community called the priest or the minister know what to say. And it's very important that friends know how to be there as well as not to say too much.